Shit.
Black and blue, I crawled along the wreckage of what now is gone. Back to you to fight another day. I'll go on and on and on and on. I'll face it, the demons I created with every last part of me. The pain will fade and I'll go on and on and on and on. Black and blue, I crawl to you. Black and blue, I crawl to you.
We're live on air.
Hello, people.
Welcome to SmackDown.
Yes, welcome to the SmackDown, the one about crowdfunding.
Oh boy.
This isn't gonna be just about, like, Kickstarter and Indiegogo shit, but we're gonna talk about Patreon, and we're gonna talk about Patreon first.
Yeah, because that's the one where I have some things to say about it. Now, let's go back in time. Let's say like a little about like 2015, 2016. You're watching your favorite YouTuber. They don't have any ads on their thing. When all of a sudden one of their videos say, "Hey, I have a Patreon. If you want me to make more videos, I need you to give me money. You'll get special perks and blah 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 blah." And
Yeah,
I'm like,
because
"What?"
YouTube is a fucking career, and YouTube is apparently so finicky with advertisers that people can't rely on that alone.
Yeah, and this became. I
So
thought
I need
that.
to mention the apocalypse again.
Yeah, let me go deeper. Like, I thought, oh, okay, maybe it's just this one YouTuber. Then I go to another one and say, oh, I want Patreon. No, how about this one? I want Patreon. No, wait a minute. What is Patreon? And then I look it up, and then it's this thing where you can have people. Then I opened a Patreon once. I didn't get a single dime because no one wants stuffed animal stuff. After all, that's what happened to Logan when he tried to open up a Patreon.
Ooh.
Now, here's the thing about Patreon is I don't really have a problem with a lot of stuff. It's just that there's one channel that I know Patreon is not necessary to watch videos. But the issue comes to the fact that, like, there's a certain type of video I like to watch, which is the history of competitive Pokemon. Go check out the Pokemon video to watch an episode of that, where each week you get to vote on what Pokemon is next. And I always wanted to vote on a shitty Pokemon that never got a chance. But the thing is, if you are a Patreon, if you pay $2 a month, you can get access to the Discord server, where in that particular Discord server, every quote-unquote Patreon person gets to vote on what gets to have one big collective vote, and then at the beginning of the month, that's the Pokemon that gets chosen. Now, what I would always wanted to do with Patreon, with my favorite channel, is if I ever got enough money, I'd go into the Discord server, I'd make friends with everyone in there, and then when the time is right, I make them all vote. I've convinced them all to vote that one Pokemon I want, because no one else in the normal comments would ever vote for that thing.
And this is where I get kinda pants twisty with Tix, because Tix is basically saying that he's pissed off at other people vote for shit that he doesn't want. Which means that Tix is kinda quote-unquote entitled, should I say. And he basically wants to bribe his favorite YouTubers into discussing what he wants. Like, that's not unethical at all.
I'm gonna be the neutral person here, as a person that at one point did have a Patreon, but not anymore. I will admit that it does feel like a sense of entitlement, because, like, the free people aren't really voting on it. But what is it, like a $2 level to join the Discord and vote? I'm pretty sure it could get a lot worse. Example, there's a movie reviewer by the name of Bob Show, and to be labeled an executive producer on his channel, you have to give him $20 a month. And that's a really big role because executive producers are the only people that can vote on reviews in certain months. So yeah, you have to be a $20 monthly supporter to vote, as opposed to $2 from this Pokemon person.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
So I will.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Well, I will admit the idea of.
a lot of big YouTubers, they let them go into Discord servers for free.
Yeah, but here's the thing, like, there could have a certain tier where they have a public server that you can go into for free, and then there's a private server where, with, like, supporters, because here's the thing. With a Discord server, and hell, even polling, you are going specifically out of their way for that subscriber. Like, you're not just paying for support when that money could be going to Netflix or something. Like, you are going out of their way for that patron. Because you're making a server for them, you're letting them poll on certain topics, and I don't mind that, having that be a Patreon topic. What I hate is when people basically log videos that could just put on YouTube for free, they're not going out of their way for anyone, and just fucking say, hey, you have to go onto my Patreon in order to watch this video that I'm not even gonna release to the public. Like, that's stupid. That's fucking dumb.
It's like shit like that combined with me only having one Patreon supporter at the time was the reason why I stopped using Patreon. I've since shifted that content over to YouTube memberships, and if I don't get any members, I will start releasing things because I don't care anymore.
It just never clicked with me. Like, I never understood it's sad. One reason I thought if I got in there, another reason why I wanted to join the series, I get to battle against my favorite YouTuber. I want to Pokemon battle with some of the big leagues. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with lowbrow servers that always bully me and beat the shit out of me in the game.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, Full Swipe Gaming, he has a schedule. And I understand putting that behind a Patreon, because at least he would be getting money out of going out of his way to battle someone.
Yeah, it's just
before we
simple...
turn into a Patreon debate, we'll go on to another website soon.
It's just, I always wanted to meet my hero. That just inspired me to try and make a competitive team.
I mean, that's acceptable. That's amazing. And here's the thing, though. Like, why don't you just be a patron? Just be a patron. Like, even for a couple months.
Here's the thing, I'm poor. I already...
We all are.
We all are.
This is just the underlying evil that I always hated about Patreon. To me, at least, it kind of felt like a tease. Like,
yeah, me too. Like, people always tease shit on their Patreon, like, ooh, I got this, and hey, look, I made this. Go on my Patreon to see it. Like, I'm used to just going onto on your site and looking at your shit for free. But to just arbitrarily put that behind a paywall, that just irks me.
Yeah, you want to know who else did that?
Who?
Logan. Super Mario Logan.
Yeah, like, well then, fuck him.
Oh, boy.
It's funny that most of my arguments always lead back to that man.
Yeah.
Can we not?
Okay, so next on the list, now that I've finally busted a gasket talking about Patreon, GH, it's your turn to talk about the next thing.
What is it?
The other Kickstarter programs.
Before I get to that, I'm gonna say this quick thing because it's gonna be a quick thing. It's not gonna get us kicked off. There are people that accept donations through cryptocurrency, but that's all I'm going to say about that out of fear of getting kicked out. Moving on. Next is Patreon was started as a way to crowdfund independent creators and their ongoing projects. But what if you wanted to make a big project and you need a lot of money? That's where the original crowdfunding platforms come from. Shit like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and shit like that.
Yeah, I remember an interesting story about one particular creepy project called "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared."
Hell yeah, like, wasn't that one of the first crowdfunded things?
Creative color.
Yeah, I remember that many people wanted to. I do remember many people wanted to sponsor that thing, and they didn't want sponsors. They wanted they had a Kickstarter, and that was it. Because it's all part of the fucking lore.
I think the best way to start the Kickstarter portion would be to talk about where the idea of Kickstarter came from. In the early days, and still today, there are businesses and projects and things that have things called investors, and the way that works is like people put in lots of money toward a thing, and then in return they get a share of the profits in the thing. Crowdfunding is basically the same thing in principle, but it's different because rather than giving them part ownership or a share of royalties, they are getting perks. Like for a video game, you get to play the video game or have your name in the credits or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that could... So here's my opinion on that topic. Kickstarter's crowdfunding type shit is a very interesting proposition because what you're basically paying for is the hope that a project that you like gets made. Here's the thing though, that thing might not get made, that thing might be delayed, the thing might be cancelled, and you basically get nothing in return. And like I said before, with the whole Patreon thing, I hate when people basically have like credits behind a paywall, which means like I understand the like you can't have everyone on the fucking credits, but here's the thing: having your name on the credits doesn't really do much for you. It doesn't. While
Yes.
with other Kickstarter perks like T-shirts, betas, other shit, that is an actual tangible thing that you have. So I would like check for the perks to see if they're really, worth it.
Yeah, another thing you have to think. Another thing I forgot to mention while talking about Patreon, and this also relates to Kickstarter, is the reason why a lot of people can't do Patreons is because they're also paying for streaming services, which you can check out in the streaming service video.
Yeah, like you have some pretty. Yeah, like, you have to have some pretty good perks to make a Patreon and have it not suck, because people are paying for streaming services, and I would much rather get a shit ton of shows than your one batch of content that you put out every week.
Exactly. Like, you need to think, this is why I never liked the Patreon in the first place. Like, do I want, 1,000+ shows on Hulu, or do I want to keep watching one favorite show?
Exactly, thank you! Fucking thank you! People always think, ooh, pay, fucking an exorbitant amount of money to support this one thing! No! You gotta give me a good, tangible reason to do so. Go out of my way for me! What would I get in return that would actually be worth that kind of money?
A hug.
It is for reasons... shut up! Anyway, it is... For reasons like that, why I choose wisely when I invest in anything, if at all. I recently became a backer of the Friday Night Funkin' Full Ass Game Kickstarter. For $20, I get the game on Steam when it comes out, an art book, and my name in the credits. Sounds fair.
Are you gonna? Is it gonna come out on the PlayStation 1?
It didn't reach the $3 million level, sorry.
Yeah, so, like, here's my opinion on that. Like, an art book would actually be good enough for $20, but, like, I already said my thing about the whole credit and the name thing, and also, too, like, and also, getting this game on Steam, like, that's actually very fair. Actually. Go ahead, M-Page.
Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly, like, that's what's got me all, like, excited and stuff. Like, while they also reached out to me saying that while their initial plan is just release it on Steam, they told me they might, with the extra money, put it on other platforms, and if I want it on a different platform that they announce, I can just email them. So like,
that's...
assuming they keep their word, that sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, like, that's actually a very power move. Like, that should cost, like, $50. Like, to, like, just email and say, hey, I want it on this platform, and they just do it. Like, that's just a power move. Like, you'd have to spend, like, $200 to get that. But apparently, no, it only costs $20.
Yeah, like, we don't even know...
Yeah,
like, we don't even know how far of platform reach they're going for, though, because right now we only know they're aiming for Steam and mobile.
Honestly, you know, imagine if someone made like a shit ton of money and just put it all on the game, say, put it on PS5. Now.
No.
No.
God, that just sounds...
We do not need PS5 games. We can't even get a fucking console.
Exactly. Why would you even buy consoles now?
But anyway, like Kickstarter sounds like the one site end all be all for publicly funding creative projects, right? But I guess there must have been more of a demand for specialized sites with different rules and fee regulations and things like that. That's why we have alternative sites like GoFundMe and Indiegogo. But GoFundMe is more for like, give me money for nothing, herpaderp.
Yeah, then there's Ko-Fi, Lo-Fi, stick money in my butt.
Coffee would be under the Patreon section.
Yeah, Ko-Fi is kind of like Patreon, but they frame it as, hey, wanna give me a coffee? And I think that's honestly a better situation. Like, it's not a subscription, but it's not a subscription, so I'm not wasting it for streaming services. But if it's just like, hey, want a coffee? Then it's more understandable.
Yeah, and also before...
Yeah. I stopped advertising my Ko-Fi because I only ever got like one coffee from that site.
Another thing we should talk about is certain things that are like microtransactions. Like, you know how when you stream, like, one thing in live streams on YouTube it's called the super chat, which helps. Which you pay a ton of money just so you can talk to your favorite YouTuber and have them notice you.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, it's not a ton of money.
Yeah, it's not a ton of money. Like, you could probably just pay $200 to show yourself through all the shit and say, hey, I want to say shit.
Yes, and also you can pay... Also, you can pay $500 to show your... I'm not gonna finish that sentence.
Like, the thing about Super Chat is it's not really crowdfunding because it still goes to the same AdSense account your monetization shit goes through, but it seems to be, in Google's cockamamie way, YouTube's response to Twitch's bits.
Yeah, like, but I can understand where Tix is coming from, though. Like, I would normally call him entitled here, and I still kind of do, but here's the thing. The ideal situation would be try to read the normal chats, like, not try to read all of them, obviously, but read the normal chats that seem the most interesting, like, to have to put the most effort into. but I don't mind super chats as long as the regular chats are still read, or at least the ones that are obviously worthy.
The thing I hate the most about super chats are when streamers try to use it as a gimmick to try to extort more money due to a particular stream format. Example, there was recently a trend where people would play Super Mario 64 blindfolded. But the thing about that is if you're playing blindfolded, you're not reading the chat. So you have to so the audience would have to either super chat or, in Twitch's case, do a bit donation for the text-to-speech to read out what you're saying.
Yeah, why can't you just, why can't someone make a program, it might even be me, that could read YouTube chats and just have a text-to-speech?
You'd be rich, decent.
I mean, for us smaller streamers and YouTubers, that would be perfect. But the problem is, in the long run, if people become big and the chats become flooded, that text-to-speech is either going to get delayed because it's still reading one message, or it's going to be useless because it'll stop a message, start another one, stop it, start another one, and so forth.
Yeah, what it could probably do is check for the length of something, or check for the sophistication of language to distinguish from, say, "Yay, do shit!" or something or a legitimate question or something. Because those are rare in comparison to other chats.
Yeah, we're getting off topic again. That is a good thing, but we're getting off topic again.
Yeah. So, let's talk about some infamous Kickstarters.
Infamous.
Okay.
GH showed me
I'm
something.
gonna do my courses. Oh yeah, Dreamworld. I remember. Yeah, Dreamworld. This one is particularly infamous because not only is it half-baked, half-assed, and clearly seems like a way to run for the money, like take the money and run, but it's one that they're not gonna do so easily because they're not just pissing off a board game community that'll lose interest. They're not just pissing off a movie community that'll lose interest. They're not even pissing off a wearable tech community that'll lose interest. They're pissing off the MMORPG community that is hyper invested in everything.
Oh, that's like a death sentence. I've been in that community before.
I have relatives in that community that will remain nameless.
Because I used to play a ton of Wizard 101. So I would know.
I had to do Warcraft and later Dungeons and Dragons Online.
Yeah, here's the thing, MMORPGs tend to really be, super fan to me because they have so much to do, they really encourage the whole community aspect, so when they go offline, they're pretty much chaos. That's what I guess I could say.
Yeah. The thing I hate about, the Dreamworld Kickstarter in particular is that, why did I say she? Is that, they promise access to an alpha. That is basically a get-out-of-jail-free card. They don't even have to finish the game. They just have to release what they have and let the backers play it, and then they're done, as far as Kickstarter is concerned.
Oh. That's rough. I never watched your video about the Dreamworld thing because I was excited to hear about it during this episode, but go ahead.
The thing about saying you release an alpha is that it covers all your bases as far as scamming concerned. It's like you didn't promise a full game, you promised an alpha, a playable alpha, and you technically gave them that. And even if you promised extra features like a bunch of people playing online all at once or a bunch of special plots of land for people to build, even if you promised that, that part don't matter because it's an alpha. It's not finished. It'll be released someday, as far as people know.
Yeah, like that's stupid because like you should like at least work to a full game. Like you could probably release a Kickstarter for like the motivation. Like if you're starting a project, hey, you want me to make this project, and you get a shit ton of money for that, and you use that to go to the thing, then you have the motivation to just do it out of passion alone. There you go.
Like, the stupidest thing about this Kickstarter is that it actually started as another Kickstarter. It was originally called Elysium. It met its funding goal. It was never finished, and then those same people came back with another Kickstarter that was pretty much the same game with a different name that also met its goal. And you could and people found out that they were one and the same. Like people because MMORPG people they data mine everything. They dug as deep as they could into this Dream World Alpha. One of the things you notice, you don't even have to be a data miner to notice this, the executable is still named Elysium. So yeah, one and the same.
Oof. So basically, they're just using Kickstarter as a fucking scam. Pretty much.
Like it's like in our terms of scams, yes, but as far as Kickstarter is concerned, yes and also no.
Ooh. At least they got the alpha that they can probably reverse engineer and finish themselves, but here's the thing, that takes work.
Yeah, it's gonna. Honestly, from what I saw from those videos, it's probably gonna take them. It's gonna take them years to just come to something close.
The scummiest part of that project doesn't really necessarily have anything to do with Kickstarter itself, but rather outside investors. There's this website where you can apply and hopefully get approved for more investors, for more investments from anonymous people if they like your project. But normally, here's the thing. Normally, that site has like stringent checks and balances to make sure that what you're running is not a scam or whatever. But because the people that ran the project have a contact within that investment website that they're all buddy-buddy with, they just fast-track through the whole thing.
Yeah, like seriously.
I'm gonna get something.
Yeah. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so that's enough of Dream World. I don't want to talk about it any more than I have to, so let's find another bad Kickstarter. Let's see. There's this.
I could mention Logan again.
Okay, where do you come from?
You know that.
Let me see if I can.
I'm gonna briefly mention what he did for his. Basically, with his Kickstarter for Patreon, like he promised viewers like the highest voters would get their a shout out by their favorite character at the end of each video. Do you know how many times he did that?
Mm-hmm.
He only did it twice.
How many?
And there were like 50 people backing him up. And he only did it twice. So that's I'm not gonna mention Logan again in this video because one day I'll hunt that man down.
Because we're on Patreon again, another thing I want to talk about is Subscribestar, but I'm only gonna briefly go over it because it's also a hot button issue on YouTube. Subscribestar is basically an alternative to Patreon. People go make their accounts on Subscribestar when Patreon don't want anything to deal with them anymore. These are mostly people like conservatives or maybe some porn people. But other than the fees being different and the level of enforcement of the rules being different, it's pretty much the same as Patreon. What else we got? Let's see, crowdfunding. What's the thing I can talk about crowdfunding?
Okay, I'm trying to think of another site that was. We need to think of like one of the most infamous crowdfunding things ever.
What?
Didn't you say something about something that had the word?
Well, first let's talk about.
Go ahead. Let's let GH talk about it. Let's let GH talk about his thing.
Let's talk about a time that crowdfunding was used for good and not necessarily had rewards tied to it. There's a site called GoFundMe where people can start fundraisers for certain things and people can donate to them. One of the most famous ones before it was taken down was for Stefan Karl Stephenson. Before he passed away, this was used for his medical bills to try and keep him afloat because he had what was it? Cancer? ALS? What was it?
I think it was it was some kind of cancer.
Yeah, it was cancer. Not only was the GoFundMe spread everywhere, but attached to that GoFundMe was the "We Are Number One" memes, which made a comeback in 2017 specifically for this reason. And before that, they mostly had they started their rise in popularity in 2014.
Oh, that's who that guy was. I was wondering, where have I heard that name for? And then, it's one of my least favorite names of all time.
I mean, "We Are Number One" was a great meme. It was very creative.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, and the guy that did Robbie Rotten came out strongly in support of the meme, and any monies that Stefan Karl did not use on the medical, the rest of the GoFundMe went to a charity thing.
Mm.
Listen, you can't just declare that without Tony's permission.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah, personally, I wanted to do I remember I wanted to do a SmackDown on creepypastas for Halloween, but Tony said no, we're doing weather. But then again, we can't really control. We can't control what happens in the so you can't just comment things like that in the DM.
All right.
I mean, I wanted to do a SmackDown on monetization, but Tanya's like, we talked about monetization too much. I'm thinking where?
Yeah, now let's stop because we're gonna put our feet in our mouth. And GH, don't you have 4 feet or hooves?
Can we not talk about the physiology nomenclature of my fucking icon, please?
It's just so interesting.
We already did the pony episode. We don't need to know. Shut up.
Oh.
Who knows?
All right. Any other weird Kickstarters and GoFundMes that we should talk about? I mean, I do want to talk about We Build the Wall, but that's political, so no.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah.
Let's see. Infamous Kickstarter. Let's see if I can find it.
And we definitely can't talk about Crypto the Super Dog.
Yep.
That's the way we can reference it.
Kickstarter.
And we can't talk about. We can't we can't talk about Bitty Bit Penny either.
Oh. Okay, what the fuck is this? Let's see. I'm gonna check this one. Let's see if it's worth talking about. Let's see. Come on, text. Where is the text? There's a new kind of scam. Let's see. Oh, apparently, Okay, wait. When did this article happen? In 2013, there was a Kickstarter scam that's not in the way you know of a traditional Kickstarter scam, where the project's a scam. In this case, the backer is the scam. And there's this guy, he donated money to 158 campaigns using his credit card, and then after their funding periods end, he called the credit card company and dispute them.
It's just to fuck with him, basically. Just to fuck with him, basically. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, people lost like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars because of this asshole.
Ooh. If only they were Wall Street bankers.
Black pufferfish.
A black pufferfish, huh?
Yeah, so let's talk about... There are just so many other... There are so many other situations where crowdfunding went wrong. But honestly, the ones that went the wrongest are out of our reach. The ones that went too wrong, went the wrongest, are out of our reach because we can't talk about them without us getting taken down.
But shall we talk about the elephant in the room here? Shall we talk about
which one?
Which elephant in the room, huh? The one who made Danny Phantom, Fairly Odd Parents, Ton Puppy and Bunsen as a Beast? That elephant?
Oh, Butch Hartman, fuck.
We gotta talk about Butch Hartman now.
Oh god, Axis.
Even though we've already talked about him in the Nicktoons episode, and literally in episode 19, like 3 episodes ago. So now we gotta talk about Butch again.
Yes, with Axis Entertainment. The elephant in the room that I've been trying to not talk about for a while. So, Butch Hartman wants to make a streaming service, kinda like Netflix. But he's concerned about violence in movies and sex on TV. So he creates a thing called Axis, which is basically a Christian streaming service idea for families, but here's the thing, that didn't turn out to be a thing. And various scandals surrounding Axis basically destroyed Butch as a human being, i.e. his reputation.
Honestly, like, the thing about Butch's reputation is, honestly, Butch lost my respect after Chloe.
Yeah, like, here's the thing, but Chloe was one thing compared to thinking that mental illnesses are your problem, not an actual problem, and also, too, praying can cure autism.
Oh, and let's not forget something that we talked about in episode 4. How Butch Hartman told Tara Strong, if that other woman didn't die, you wouldn't have the role of a lifetime.
Yeah, but that was, that didn't really have much to do with Axis. Like, here's the thing. Like, the whole Axis thing, though, was supposed to be like this Christian streaming service, and he was kind of vague as to whether the Ligbit community would be accepted.
Honestly, I think Butch Hartman just wanted to have a place to put all of his shows.
Yeah, but he was...
It's like, his publisher can make, like, fucking, like, lemonade out of the lemons that are Butch Hartman's lack of brain cells, but, like, it's kind of hard to see any good in him. Like the exact wording that he used is he would use it for programming that upholds Christian family values, which the way he tried to explain his way out of it is that it would be about morals, the difference between right and wrong, like being a good person. Like, on that superficial level, it makes sense. But then you forget about, but then there's things like the Ligbits and the Muslims and pretty much anything in particular.
God, like, honestly, it just feels sad that, like, he doesn't... This is why I think, like, it's funny that all of these big people once had like a congregation at the beginning in the 90s, like Craig McCracken, Jenny Kravagoski, Seth MacFarlane, Butch Hartman. Technically, they were all part of Hanna-Barbera Studio at one point.
But apparently they went all their separate ways. And they're very different people now.
Yeah, Craig McCracken's on Netflix, Jenny Kravagoski's working on a 4th Transylvania movie. Seth MacFarlane is still stuck in Family Guy. And, of course, Butch is now the most hated thing in the world.
Yeah.
Funny how... Yeah.
Like, and the worst thing about it is, he tried to obfuscate the nature of the whole, Oaxis service. Like, he was trying to, like, compete with Netflix, but nope, he was just trying to make this whole Christian server, and apparently he couldn't tell the world about that, so he had to obfuscate our own shit. So, that's kinda wrong.
Honestly, I can see Butch... This is what I really wish... This is what I think Butch really wanted to do. He didn't want to make a Christian server. I think, personally, Butch just wanted his own streaming service so he can make as many cartoons as he wants, however shitty or low quality that he wants, and they're all his, and not shared by Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
Also,
but here's the thing, though. He went back to Nickelodeon to reboot Fairly Odd Parents on live action, which is...
Oh, like, why? He had a whole video telling about, like, how many times Nickelodeon been him, we need you to make more Fairly Odd Parents. We need you to make more Fairly Odd Parents. Like, and then how he quit Nickelodeon. Like, he had a whole video about that, and now he's going back?
Yeah, he's going back to produce a live-action Fairly Odd Parents reboot. Like, that hasn't been tried before!
Now, here's my argument, like... you want to know why a Fairly Odd Parents live-action reboot isn't gonna work?
Yeah, we're getting off topic.
Because the live-action Powerpuff Girls isn't working. Script's leaked. Read it for yourself. Well, I'll make sure.
All right, let's get back on topic. All right, so we already blew up that elephant in the room. Like, I think I could probably say all I had to say about Oaxis. I mean, I could talk about the garden, but that would be off topic kinda too.
Honestly, now that the elephant's been blown up, we need to call in the hyenas to eat up the chunks.
Alright, so what are these hyenas that we speak of?
The
Cheetah Men.
The Cheetah Man?
The Cheetah Man? Like, what is the Cheetah Man?
I got a good catalyst for how funding can backfire. How about Yandere Simulator?
Oh my god, Yandere Simulator. I mean, I don't really know much about it other than the "Are you coded, son?" meme. So, and his fucking face.
Here's the thing about Yandere. I played Yandere Simulator once, and it was glitchy on my computer.
Yeah, because Yandere dev doesn't really know how to dev for shit.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, he talks like such a smooth guy, well, all he has is a big nose.
I mean, like, you can tell how behind the times he is in development. When he played this one game, I forgot what it was called, he basically saw a cup in the game that had ice in it, and then time passes, he sees the ice melt, and he's like, whoa, technology.
God,
yeah.
The thing about...
Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing about Yandere Simulator is the only reason it even got popular in the first place was because of big YouTubers trying out the tech demo. And I remember when Markiplier first said it, he said the game, at the time, the game was only 6% done. And then so many YouTubers played it, and then they realized, when's the full game coming out? And instead of making the full game, he puts in cheats that allow you to play as Sans and One Punch Man. Like, seriously.
Well, he could just make the game open source, but apparently he didn't.
Yeah, and then apparently now...
What's even worse is, like, now people that want to play the game and want to copy the success that the other YouTubers now have to tread carefully, because due to the violent and graphic nature of the stuff within, Yandere Simulator in its unfinished state is actually on Twitch's list of banned games.
Wow.
Yeah, because I know for a fact that Yandere Simulator actually has nudity. Because Yandere...
And panties.
Yeah, literally, like...
I mean, I would say this, though. The whole Yandere Simulator thing is why I tend to not tease my current shits, because people are gonna say, ooh, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? When is it coming out? And if you're lazy, or just don't really want to work on the game for whatever reason, people will call you lazy. And they will be relentless, so that's why I tend to just release them when they're ready, or even just announce them when they're almost ready.
And honestly, if I were to tease something...
Basically, one of my mom's Bird's English dub is dead in the water. People are still watching that one tease video, thinking I'm going to do something with it, and I'm not.
Yeah, so this is why I don't really tease stuff unless I absolutely have to.
Honestly, I rarely tease stuff, if not ever. And even when I did tease it, it usually wasn't... usually it would come out. It's just that it took a little while. And honestly, here's the thing: on my final days as Plush Guard A-Duck in 2018, I kind of teased the final part of my project. The only problem is one of them never got released because it got corrupted. And that was the Cars 3 YTP, which ended up being recreated from memory and as a memory of Ace, more than something that I wanted to do all along. That's why it was so short, and I didn't like making it. But it did give birth to one of my YTP icons, Sterling.
Ooh.
Because Sterling is the best Animal Crossing character ever.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so if that's enough of Yandere and teasing, I think we can go back to Cheetah Men now. Like, for those that aren't hardcore gamers, Cheetah Men was a game from Action 52, an unlicensed NES multi-cart of original games made by 3 college students that were locked in a room. I wish I had a better way to describe that. But anyway, what we're talking about specifically is Cheetah Men 2. It was a planned sequel to the original Cheetah Men that was never released by the original company, Active Enterprises, but like, it did resurface on the internet in the form of ROM images, but it was bugged. Like, depending on where you got your cartridge or your ROM and what settings you used, there was a chance you couldn't play the game past level 4 because the game would just soft lock. But there are some ROM patches made that did fix it, among other bugs. And here comes this Johnny John Johnson. I call him that because I forgot his name. He made a Kickstarter where he wanted 65 grand, and he wanted to release a fixed version of Cheetah Men 2 on cartridge for people to properly enjoy. It even got endorsement from people like Pat the NES Punk, James and Mike, and some other big gaming YouTubers at the time. But it turned out to be a scam because all he did, for multiple reasons, really. Number one, he does not work with Active Enterprises and never got permission from them, so it's not official. Number two, all he did was take one of the ROM patched versions that exist on the internet and put it on a cartridge and send it out. And number three, some of the people that actually got their cartridges complained that it's still bugged and still soft locks. So, yeah. Like there are not enough "you failed" in the world to describe that.
Yeah, like, what you should have really just done is have, like, an Etsy where people can buy a cartridge, and he was open about it. He was saying, hey, this is a patch ROM that I found here. If you want a cartridge, go to my Etsy. Like, he should have just done that.
Yeah, I mean, I found a lot of weird Pokemon ROM hacks and bootlegs on Etsy. I didn't purchase any of them, but I know they exist, especially Pokemon My Ass Edition.
Pokemon My Ass Edition. Alright. What the hell?
Yeah, what's weird is like the game ROM says Pokemon My Ass, but it's sold on a cartridge that says Pokemon Cock version. It's a long story. But we're getting off again. Off topic. Fuck. What else? Shit. Hold on. Was potato salad a Kickstarter? Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay. So, let's talk about something funny on Kickstarter. Like something that's weird and while nowadays it would be considered maddening, this is like actually kind of ridiculous and funny. Someone made a Kickstarter where a guy wanted to make a potato salad, and I think the Kickstarter was looking for like $10, and then it raised 55 grand. Or was it a GoFundMe potato salad? I forget. No. I was right. It was Kickstarter. So basically, I guess people donated to it not because they were expecting anything, but because it was funny. Like, it's shit. What was I gonna say? Oh, and it turned out the whole thing was just an inside joke amongst some college kids. Like, oh, let's have a potato salad party. Hey, it's a joke. Here's a Kickstarter. It's a joke. The Kickstarter is very much not a joke because it makes thousands and thousands of dollars. It even ended up on Good Morning America. What did the guy do afterwards? I don't know, because I'm not a fan of potato salad.
Oh. Alright, so MPage, do you have any more things to talk about?
Like, I honestly thought you guys were carrying the episode. Like, I just finished talking about the potato salad Kickstarter. Anything you want to weigh in particular to that?
Not really, because I was trying to find my phone. So, should I talk about something? Like, we could talk about Cards Against Humanity. It was originally crowdfunded, but that's not really that interesting in comparison to the stuff that we talked about before.
I mean,
when I get back, I want to talk about how Bubsy was revived by crowdfunding. Slot 6 at that in the chat.
I think Cards Against Humanity deserves its own. I think Cards Against Humanity deserves its own episode for like a legacy kind of look back.
Yeah. So, Tix did say that, quote, when I get back, I want to talk about how Bubsy was revived by crowdfunding, and I think we'll end the episode on that. I don't want to end the episode right.
Oh no.
Yeah, like, Bubsy wants to talk. Bubsy was revived by crowdfunding, and Tix wants to talk about that. I think we should let him talk about that.
Boobsy the boob kit. Okay. So, let's see, Let's see, what's another crowdfunding thing I can talk about? To touch back on Dreamworld for a second, the end product alpha is nothing more than just a bland world comprised pretty much almost entirely out of assets that they bought for Unity. No, not Unity. Was it Unity? No, Unreal. Like pretty much, they just bought a bunch of stock assets and put them in the game. The most shameless asset flip I've ever seen.
Ooh. Like, here's the thing. I mean, I could talk about how shitty crowdfunded games are crowding the eShop, but we honestly should have talked about that in the Nintendo episode. Like, did we talk about the eShop in the Nintendo episode, where how it's just flooded with crap?
I mean, like the Wii U is flooded with crap. The Switch is still flooded with crap. I think the Wii Shop had standards, but the difference is like the Wii Shop had very stringent process and nobody knew how to get on board with that.
Ooh. So they just kind of gave up.
I think the only I think like the only WiiWare game I purchased was Slot Cars. You know, it's like them weird racetracks you play as a kid where you pull the trigger to make the car go, but don't make it go too fast or it'll fly off and crash.
Oh, so I want to talk about something, but like I don't think Too Fast for Nooms was crowdfunded. Like that was one of the last big one of the last big WiiWare games that was released. Too Fast for Gnomes.
Let's see, fuck, like, it's like I want to talk about people that use Patreon, but then it becomes less about Patreon and more about people.
Ooh. Well, Tonyo is somehow online via his phone.
Shit, I wish he knew anything about this. Like, I don't know if he does. I hope he does. Shit. Come on. Oh! One of my favorite Kickstarter projects that I've seen from its development, thanks to YouTube, is a game called Planet X2 for the Commodore 64.
Oh, like I never heard of that.
It was a game made by a YouTuber known as the 8-Bit Guy. He makes videos about vintage computers, among other things.
Ooh. No, I love the 8-Bit Guy. I love his work.
Yeah, he talked about how Kickstarter was like a double-edged sword. Like because he got all this money from the Kickstarter that he spent on production and coding and things like that, he gets to a point in the project where now he gets all anxious and freaks out a little because if something were to go wrong along the way, he would have to go bankrupt in order to refund everybody's money. But because of that fire under his ass, it gave him the kick in the pants he needed to really commit to the project and see it through to completion. And it was really successful and really good.
Oh, I'm back.
He's back. Let's talk about Bubsy.
Okay,
Yay.
hold on. My
What could
bowels.
possibly go wrong?
Yeah, my bowels really hate me tonight. And that's a story for another day. Okay, now, let's talk. Now, here's the funny thing. Back in, like, 2014, early 2015, like, I remember I was intrigued by two Bubsy-related things. The JonTron episode and Mr. Enter's review on the show. I remember I hosted two YTP collabs about Bubsy. Those are some good times. Unfortunately, they're long lost to the sands of time. Now, thing about what
Whoops,
on Steam, yeah, on do you know that Steam Accolade was having a Kickstarter to try and get the original two Bubsy games onto Steam. They succeeded into a double pack called Bubsy Twofer, which I own.
Wait, is it spelled FUR?
Yeah. Exactly. And then I got even interested. For some reason I was a fucking idiot, and I saw Vanamelon play Bubsy War of the Woolies, and I bought it because she had it, and thinking like, Bubsy exists again. Maybe I'll try it out. Of course, it did not work on my 4 GB of RAM computer, because why would it? And then I played it for Raw on episode 58, and now it still makes me pissed because I couldn't get past that fucking boss. Otherwise, like I said in that episode of Raw, Bubsy is a character that lives in infamy, and people like it to suffer in its infamy, and that's why they funded it in the first place. And that's how and then they had a game on the Switch again. But Paws on Fire, and people still bought it, including myself, because I had wanted to waste my money. Because to have a franchise that's listed in infamy is both sad and ingenious at the same time. Now that we got how Bubsy, so literally a lot of things that we've done before have been funded by Kickstarters. So that's a few things we've touched upon that we have. Logan, Butch Hartman, Bubsy, Yandere Simulator. Crowdfunding has helped all of them. For better or for
The
worse.
thing that I hate, the thing I hate about this whole thing is like people, like things like Bubsy get funded because people hate it. Like it's a bad game and it deserves to die. Why? Like people are paying money for this because they remember Bubsy as being a bad game. So like it makes you think, like, is it on the creator of the project for bringing back something they know has a bad reputation? Is it on Kickstarter for allowing it to happen? Or is the blame on us for willingly pushing money into things that shouldn't even get money? Like I know this will probably draw some ire from our non-existent audience, but consider this. If there was a Kickstarter where someone actually wanted to use genetic material and special technology to resurrect Adolf Hitler, would you back it?
Well, I would, but I would try to reverse engineer it to bring back good people.
Honestly, yeah, that actually sounds even
Ever the optimist you are, Waltz.
Yes, Walter. We need to think outside the box. Now, and of course, is petitions another topic entirely, or should we talk about petitions? Like because the
petitions. Well, petitions are different because there's no money changing hands and no guarantee something's going to happen. I'm gonna leave that up to someone else if we want to make that a separate episode or if we just want to fill time with it now.
Yeah, it's all about time. We need to think of some. We need GH. We need do me a favor and go see if we can search up something like Patreon or Kickstarter disasters. Like we need something super infamous that's just infamous enough that it's not going to get us taken down.
Like something to react to or something to just talk about?
We're already an hour in.
Let's.
Something to talk about at least.
Okay. I got one. Indiegogo. On Indiegogo, there was a backer. It's pretty much Channel Awesome. Channel Awesome used Indiegogo to back their new production lineup because they were running out of money. Why they didn't just use Patreon or a similar recurring site, I don't have a fucking clue. They asked for $50K and received almost $90K.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
What? Yes, as Tix was about to say, Channel Awesome is Nostalgia Critic, and it was other people, but now it's mostly Nostalgia Critic. So,
Why don't they
about Channel Awesome, one of the... Go ahead.
Why, if that's the case, why didn't he just rename the channel the Nostalgia Critic? The Nostalgia Critic channel. Like, that just seems like the logical.
Because there are still other things on... Because there are still other things on the channel that aren't Nostalgia Critic. Things like Awesome Comics.
Yeah, that's the thing. The only reason you would watch that channel is the Nostalgia Critic. That's the only reason you would go there. You wouldn't go there.
Yeah, but
topic.
people watch Jordan54 only for his reactions, but he doesn't just rename his channel Jordan54 Reacts.
True.
But back to the Indiegogo. One of the things that was promised on Indiegogo was they were going to produce a new game show called Pop Quiz Hot Shot, which actually did get made, but here's the story behind that. There was passing around some like pilots, ideas, trying to work all the kinks out with different hosts, different formats, different new things that would occur. They weren't done yet, but Indiegogo has this thing where you have to meet a certain part of the goal by a certain time limit to avoid having to refund people. So they released one of the early pilots. That pilot was utter shit, and the fans let them know of this. But despite that, they met their obligation, and once they finally did figure out where to go, they produced 11 episodes in its proper format, and despite it being a good game show, in my opinion at least, it really did not bode well with the audience because, one, they were still nattered from the pilot, and also because of the nature of game shows on YouTube. Like, you've seen it once, you've seen it a million times, and one of the things that appeal about game shows is when game shows are on TV are made, they're made for syndication. They could air any episode at any time, and you never know what's going to happen. But if you have 11 episodes on YouTube of a game show, once you watch all 11 episodes, that's it. Unless you have a shitty memory like me.
Honestly, the thing about another, you want to know what else had an interesting funding story? Saturday Night in Happiness.
What?
The thing about that, yeah. So this will probably be the final time we talk about that, since it's banned from both Raw and SmackDown on account of they hate reactors. That's why I stopped watching Blasphemous HD, because he stopped reacting to that. But that's a story. But we're
not showing any footage of Saturday Night Happiness. We'll just talk away.
The thing about Saturday Night and Happiness is they got gruesome stuff in that show. But the problem is that YouTube hates gruesome stuff. It's not like people get away with it's not like a certain person got away with bullying people on the internet. That's awful. I'm not. Oh wait, that's something. That's another topic. So the thing about Saturday Night and Happiness, they started asking for Patreon stuff. That was a red flag for me because you already know. Because I'm like, and then they just stopped making shorts for a while because they didn't have enough money. Like, and then they started.
Animation's really hard to do.
I don't know, and then like, so many animators use Patreon. Almost all of them use Patreon.
Well, they do because animation's hard. Like, you have to redraw every single goddamn frame, and why wouldn't you be motivated by money? Especially if you don't have a real job. And I just implied animation doesn't like job. Sorry. Oof.
Now let's
just.
I gotta think. I know
You got
there's
anything else about?
I know there's a few more on my tongue. I have to think about it. Like, who else used Patreon or Kickstarter to start up something? I know a lot of people used Patreon. Terminal Montage used Patreon.
Well, should we just end it now? We're grabbing for we're grabbing for scraps right now, and it's been an hour and 10 minutes in. I think that's enough.
I think yes. I think
let's
we
get
should
a wrap
roll.
up.
Talk about what?
Let's get our wrap up statements.
All right, so crowdfunding.
He says we hit a wall. Let's do a wrap up.
All right, crowdfunding, Patreon, all sorts of things. Like, those, sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be greedy, sometimes it can be bad, sometimes it can be scammy, sometimes it can be great, sometimes it can be amazing. But overall, it's eh.
Okay, I'll go next. Okay, so Patreon,
Okay.
I still fucking hate it because it ruined a lot of YouTube things for me, but at least people make money off of it, and I'm happy for that. All the other Kickstarters, I'm sort of indifferent to. Oh, there was one more topic that I wanted to mention.
What?
The fact that sort of leaked.
What was it?
The fact that Patreon and stuff leaked into YouTube Poops. Why would it lead to YouTube Poops? Like,
I don't know.
Like, why? I know money is a motivator, just like decent shit, but the problem, I just can't get over that. Like, they're parodies. You're using other people's stuff. It's not.
Yeah, like, here's the thing, though. The reason why YouTube Poop isn't dead is because we hide behind a safe harbor of, oh, we're not making money off this. What happens when you actually make money off it?
Yeah, like, that's the thing.
Like, I think the real thing, though, about the YouTube Poops and the money is, like, the real reason people are looking to Patreon to make money off the YTPs is because they know for a damn fact they're not going to make any money off YouTube monetization for the YTPs because of all the copyrighted material.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
The motive for the longest time was the good old for the passion, but here's the thing. YouTube Poop is the perfect thing for the passion kind of thing, because copyrighted works are made into, well, poop.
Now, here's the... Yeah, and that's why... That's why that's one thing I can deny of deserving Patreon. Like, you need to agree with me on this, Decent, that, like, sure, you get good YTPs, like Buzz Catches COVID with stuff like Patreon, but the thing is, Stuart K. Riley once said that YTP is a non-profit thing. Like, there was this one YouTuber called Attack of the Hank. He tried to make commissions, where he tried to charge people to make certain YTPs.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. Like, YTPs aren't, art. They're just bullshit things that you make in Sony Vegas. Like, they're basically what I say to flex how good your editor is. To flex how good your editor is, basically.
Like, we can talk more about our videos, arts, in probably a later episode, but back to the wrap-up regarding crowdfundings.
I just need to get that
I say, I'd say, like, if you are a person looking to make a project and you're looking to receive funding for it, make sure you take into account the consumer's best interests and make sure that you take the project seriously after you get funded so that you can feel accomplished in your work and the people will be happy with the end result. And also, don't use flexible funding. That's a fucking cheat. If you are a person that's looking to back something that interests you, invest wisely, be a smart consumer. Do a little bit of homework and see if what you're gonna get at your backer level is worth the amount you're paying. And when it comes to content creators, if you're looking to be their patron, make sure you get something substantial out of it that you can't get through just the free experience.
Ooh. I think M. Page's opinion is pretty much my opinion in most respects. So, should we end this episode here?
It was kind of bad.
Alright, guys, so... go ahead.
Check out Raw on Monday. Raw on Monday. Tix will be playing Roblox. And then the next SmackDown is... What's the next SmackDown?
The next SmackDown is... let me think. 4 Kids. The next SmackDown is about 4 Kids. So,
yes.
I'm gonna be out of that episode, so...
Yeah, next Friday night, we'll talk about your Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
Yeah, like we're gonna I have to talk about Pokemon again.
Oh boy. So, that's it. So, bye everyone. See ya.